Get started, guys. I'm so excited. Chelsey and I have been chatting behind the scenes for at least a half hour, if not longer tonight, because we wanted to start early. We get so energetic and overwhelmed with joy when we talk to each other. You could probably feel it in my voice already. This is such an exciting night because Chelsey is a fine artist, and I have known her, I guess it's been a couple of years. I can't even count the time because I feel like it's been 1,000 years that we've known each other as sisters. And I can't really tell you all the incredible things that she is doing currently and tell you everything about her past. So we're going to cover just a few things about who she is and what she's doing. The last time I caught up with Chelsey, let me start again. I want to talk to you first about connection, because that is the most important thing in our lives as human beings. And when we connect with each other, when we connect with our hearts, and when we connect with our spirit and the world and our gifts, life just improves so much. And the way that I came to know Chelsey is that Katie Robbins, she's actually on the call tonight, which is super cool. She is also a connector, and I met her many moons ago at an art gallery here in Nashville. And Katie is one of those people that is a spark. She is a firecracker, and she's always connecting people together that are like-minded. And she does it so naturally that it just comes as a joyful gift to everyone that she meets. And so she put together a little soiree over at an art gallery, and Chelsey was the spotlight for the night. And she was showing her art, and I was able to meet her there. And Katie kind of just mingled around and connected everybody with each other. But that's how I came to know Chelsey. And ever since then, we have been following each other on Facebook, and we have been connected as soul sisters through art, and fantastic life changes. And when I say fantastic, I mean good and bad. Like, fantastic can be incredible. It can be ups and downs. It is for everyone. We go through so many things in our lives that it's really hard to just get stuck when you have such good people around you. And so that's why I wanted to invite you all here tonight to meet Chelsey, because not only has she done some incredible things most recently, she has 5 children she's homeschooling, and I know that's going to relate to some of you here on the call for that reason alone. Homeschooling has been a whole new adventure for most everybody in the last 6 to 8 months. It's just been really kind of crazy and sometimes terrifying, I'm sure. But I brought her here because I also want her to talk about setting your heart on fire. And you guys know that that is so important, to find your spark, to find your dream, to find what catalyst it is that will prevent you from living a life that's unfulfilled. Get out there and do the things that you are so afraid to do without support. So first of all, welcome to the tribe. You're on here tonight with women all over the world. We have about 4 different countries represented. I think there's about 7 states on here. And the one thing that we have in common is that we are all trying to improve our lives, and we're doing the best we can to support each other, lift each other up, and do those things together. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about Chelsey really quick from her bio, and you'll have to forgive me. I don't even have my glasses on, so I'm going to try to read this really fine print. One of the things that I love about her bio is this quote. It makes my heart sing. And she says, "You don't need sight to have vision." Chelsey Tucker. So, and that couldn't explain her life and her dream of being an artist any more than that simple statement, is that we do lose sight of things sometimes, and we really kind of get bogged down in the day-to-day things that can really overwhelm us. But if you have that vision, if you hold it close to your heart, and if you look to the future and to look to what you're capable of, using that skill set you've always had, it will propel you forward like you've never imagined. And if you can surround yourself with other women that are doing the same thing, you will be boundless. And so Chelsey actually has an autoimmune disease that has affected her vision. And in her left eye, she is completely blind. And in her right eye, she has, I'm going to let her explain what the percentages are, but it's really difficult for her to see at all, depending on what the day is. And she is completely colorblind as well some days. It doesn't stop her from being a visual artist. She does fine arts. If you can see the painting behind her, she's recently completed that one. It's based on a Nashville sunset and some really odd shapes in her house, and I'll let her tell you more about that. But without further ado, I would really love for Chelsey to tell you what she would like you to know about her and her life right now. And then we're going to jump in, we're going to ask some questions and let her talk about the things she's doing most recently. And then we're going to do a Q&A with you guys. There's some questions you guys have emailed or texted me or put in the group, and we're going to follow up with that. So Chelsey, would you love to tell us a little bit about why I asked you to be here and what's going on with you these days?
Yes. So first, hello, everyone. Thank you so much for being here. And I am super laid back and just kind of keep it real. So I told Shannon, I'm a master life coach, but I'm human first. So you'll get the authenticity from me as much as possible. So as Shannon mentioned, I'm a mom of 5. So are there moms tonight on the call? Do we have moms? Are any homeschooling right now? Oh my gosh. Yes, so my husband and I have 5 kids. We were former foster parents. We fostered for 8 years and we adopted all 5 of our kiddos. So I'm homeschooling all 5 right now. So when I say my love to you all the mamas out there who are homeschooling, I mean it, because it is, I was not, and I still don't know if I'm a natural born teacher, not of what is required now, but my kids are 13, 11, 10, 8, and 3. And so we have quite the age range, and it's just, there's never a dull moment. So outside of being a mom and a wife, I'm an artist, and how that came to be is kind of an amazing story, and I'll get to that if time will allow. But I'm also a life coach, and my life has really changed dramatically over the last 3 years, and it's been because of all the things that Shannon mentioned, who I've surrounded myself by, and kind of dismantling my inner belief system, if you will. I held this belief system about myself that didn't allow me to pursue my dreams. And I believed everything that I thought. And so what I've learned over the last few years is that not everything is true. And I've just been so fortunate to have had such an incredible journey over the last 3 years. Prior to that, a little bit about me as far as health goes. I was diagnosed with MS when I was 1 after losing my eyesight. And last year, that diagnosis was changed after I had lost vision in both of my eyes again for the 4th time. I was diagnosed with a rare autoimmune disease called Neuromyelitis Optica Spectrum Disorder. And the acronym for that is NMO. So you'll hear me say that much more frequently than the actual disorder, because that's a mouthful. But basically, NMO is a rare degenerative neurological disease, which has left me blind in my left eye and functionally blind in my right eye. And I can no longer see colors due to optic nerve damage. And I lost my ability to walk last year. And so I've relearned how to walk again this year. And I live with this every day, and I'm still an artist. I still paint. And I thought for sure that was something I wouldn't be able to do any longer after not being able to see colors or see. And so that's been quite a journey. And I know that Shannon mentioned Katie on this call. Katie was the connector between how I got myself out into the world as an artist, and how everything has just kind of spiraled from there. So I'm extremely fortunate tonight to be with you all, and just again, thank you so much.
Chelsey, thank you so much. I just always love hearing about your story. It seems like every time I hear it, I pick up on a new thing that I wasn't aware of. And so I really appreciate you going back over some of those things that I already knew for everybody here tonight. I really do want to connect you with kind of some of the things that are going on with your life coach certification that you've recently acquired. I think that that's just a fantastic thing. One of the things that we've really been talking about lately in the groups that I have going on in the consulting firm is that a lot of the women today are feeling really kind of lost in, should I get a certification? Should I be doing e-courses online? Should I be going back to get a formal degree and that sort of thing? And I wanted to ask you if you could share with us why you chose to get your life coach certification, because I know that we talked about you actually aren't practicing being a life coach. So I wanted to know more about like why you chose to get the certification versus not, if you could tell us a little bit about that.
Sure. So what led me to life coaching was 2 years ago. I started out on a journey, a health journey, and I didn't know it at the time, but it would be transformational for my life. I ended up losing 167 pounds through a life coaching program. And it set my heart on fire, not just because of weight loss, but because it is transformational. Changing your mind is transformational. And when you change your mind, you change your life. And I looked around and I thought, okay, I was able to do something that I never thought possible. I lost an entire adult that I did not think I could ever do. And I saw it was kind of like a ripple effect. It not only affected my health, but I was able to do and dream bigger because my mind had been changed. I changed my mind about myself. And so life coaching was just kind of like, yeah, this is kind of what I want to do. Well, then the pandemic happened and all my plans, I'm sure like so many of you all, we had plans for this year and they were kind of like, well, that's not happening like we thought it would. And I don't know if anybody can relate, but it was kind of like, why even have a calendar this year? Like it's just everything had been canceled. So I got into a funk a little bit because everything had been canceled. All of my kids were home, which was quite an adjustment. And I loved them dearly, but they were all home. And I thought, how am I supposed to live my life, pursue my dreams, and mom, and teach, and be all of now the school counselor, and all of the things? How am I supposed to do that? And I thought, well, I was coaching myself at that moment, and I thought, okay, I think the life coaching, a master life coaching certification makes sense. Something that was on my list of things to do, something that I wanted to do, although I don't have aspirations to coach one-on-one. I'm heavily involved in patient advocacy for the rare disease community. And I think the thing that's lacking I just think not many people know about life coaching. Not many people know that thoughts are optional. And because it changed my life so much, I thought, I think that this is somewhere I can have an impact. And because I desperately needed it at that moment during all of the changes, I thought, that's where I'm gonna pursue my time and my interest. So I went ahead and got my certifications, and so I'm just thrilled to be able to do that.
That's awesome, Chelsey. I really, and I wanted to tell everybody a little bit about me too, because that's the thing that I'm a little bit adverse to some certifications and formal education. I do have a formal education. I have a bachelor's degree in liberal arts, international trade, and economics. And I did that only because I'd already had all the business experience and I wasn't being taken seriously because of the times. And I really wanted to talk about what that means to you ladies tonight, because education, formal education, and learning are actually two different things. And it all has to do with your mindset and not a lot to do with experience or with education. It depends on who you are, who you're serving, and what you're going to do in life as to what kind of educational tools that you need. And so that's been really close to my heart. I know a lot of women feel insecure with not having certain degrees, but I want to reassure you that in the time that we're coming into, the course material that we're going over in some of my courses, along with some certifications, it's really important to have the knowledge more than it is to have the actual title and the degree. So what you want to do is prepare yourself for your ideal client, for your own life. The better you handle yourself, your own mind, and your own experience that you're gathering every day, the knowledge base you're acquiring, that's what's truly going to help you in what you're trying to do to transition, especially during this time in COVID. Universities are going to start to go back to life coaching themselves. There's going to be a lot of courses on in psychology and mindset. You're going to see a lot of the basic curriculum is actually how to manage your own life. So when we talk about life coaching, we talk about coaching in business and that sort of thing. It's so popular because it's practical. You guys have probably heard me talk about the practical guide to becoming boundless. That is the type of thing that you do every day. You are the woman in charge of your life and your family's lives and the people that you work with and work for. Those things are what's going to make it in this world. And you do need additional skill sets, and transferable skills applied to those are what's going to make you who you're going to become. So I don't want you to get caught up in all the things, but really kind of fine tuning what knowledge you need and how to go about acquiring that knowledge. If it's a certification, absolutely jump in, get the certification. Chelsey's saying too, it helped her so much because she was being coached and she saw that benefit. And so she wanted to do that with other people. And then also the leadership and organizations that she's working with, it helps her understand how to communicate better. Communication is of the utmost importance when you're connecting, and connecting is how you get wonderful clients and how you make money. So thank you, Chelsey, for sharing that information. I really do want to talk about, because I love art so much, I want you to share, and that's the fun things that we get to do, is to celebrate color and life and all those things that when you change your mindset and you create something, it becomes a part of the world, and whether we share it or not is up to us. But I'm so thankful that you do share your art, and I would love for you to tell a little bit about how you create, what inspires you, and what medium you like to work with.
Sure. So I work with several different mediums, but I'll go back and first say that I had to identify as an artist before I was willing to share my work. And it was difficult for me. It's vulnerable to put yourself out there. I had only been painting for, at this moment, 3 years. And I started painting after I lost my eyesight 3 years ago in both of my eyes. So a little backstory, I had suffered vision loss in my left eye repeatedly over 11 years. And I could function with one eye, but I was never felt inclined to paint. And in fact, I joke that my husband and I can't play Pictionary together because I still can't draw. And it's a for sure loss if we play together, because I can't draw. I've never had any artistic inclination. So it's still kind of strange, but 3 years ago, I lost eyesight in both of my eyes, and it was devastating. When I say I had thought I had learned how to pivot and shift and change, that turned our world completely upside down. I was a mom. We were parents of 3 at the time, and I couldn't see. I was completely blind, and I was blind for about 8 months. And in that time, I had to quit working, of course, because I wasn't able to see. And I was depressed, and I didn't know how to function. It's like relearning and reorienting yourself with your surroundings. It was quite literally going to bed with vision and waking up without it. And so for those 8 months, my husband explained the colors of everything. I mean, I was distraught because I felt like I had been robbed of time with my children, and I didn't remember the exact details of my son's and my daughter's eyes. And I wanted my husband to describe them to me, because I thought, if this is the last moment that I was able to see them, I want to engrave those in my mind. I never want to forget, because I felt like I just didn't have enough time, and I never appreciated them, to be quite honest. And so my husband, Bob, was patient. I mean, he was a saint. For 8 months solid, he explained things and textures and colors and details, and I would begin to kind of reimagine and create my own little world. I couldn't see, but if you guys are still with me, follow me here. I couldn't see, but I used my imagination to kind of recreate and reinvent what I had missed so much. And when everything is dark, quite literally and figuratively. That was the one thing that brought me so much comfort, is that I was able to recall colors. And so about at the 8-month mark, I woke up. Just as quickly as I went blind, I woke up and I said, Bob, I'd like to paint. And knowing that I have the artistic inclination of a kindergartner at the time, he was like, what are you talking about? And I said, I'd like to paint. And so he said, okay. And so we went to the craft store. We bought cheap, I'm talking like Crayola craft paintbrushes, just very cheap stuff. And I came home and I painted my first painting, and it was a guitar. My son is an amazing musician. I love music as well. And I'll never forget, it wasn't that I painted a guitar. It was that when I called my husband down to look at it, he could recognize that it was a guitar. And I felt at that moment that I could connect with him and he could see the things that I was seeing in my mind because I had put it on canvas. And I felt very, very connected to him at that time. So in a moment when I'd felt disconnected for so long because I just couldn't explain to him what I could see and what I couldn't see. And it was just very hard for me to, it was just a hard time in my life. I had to redefine what it meant to be a mom, to be a wife, who I was, because I had placed so much of my identity on the things that I was able to accomplish. And when all of that went away because I just couldn't do it anymore, as you all can probably imagine, it was mind blowing. And it was very, very difficult. So as the days and months progressed, I painted a little bit more. And then I started posting on Facebook, just with friends. And they were just as shocked as everyone else. My husband often said, like, is someone coming in the house and sneaking in and painting these pictures? Because I know it's not you. And I would just say, like, no, I mean, it truly is me, but there was something, I came alive. And I felt joy for the first time in such a long time. I hadn't felt that kind of joy. And it was almost an urgency that I knew that I had to create. So I continued to create and share with just friends. And then last year, I set a goal. I called it my impossible goal. Though I know nothing is impossible, it felt impossible. My impossible goal was to have one piece of art in a public place. That was my impossible goal. Sharing felt vulnerable. Identifying as an artist felt impossible. That's honestly what felt more impossible, I think, is identifying as an artist. And so I set that goal in January, and then 2 weeks later, I was in the hospital again for a major relapse of this disease, and my vision was taken again, and this time in my right eye, and I was again left blind for quite a few months. And I came home and thought, now this really is impossible. I hadn't attempted painting with no vision before, and so I felt like those plans were out the window, but there was something inside me that said I still had to try. So I painted. I went back to the guitars. I love music. If you guys check out my art, you'll see a lot of guitars, and I'm from Nashville, born and raised, and it's just ingrained in my soul to love music. And so I painted 3 guitars, and through a series of events, posting them on Facebook, an owner of a cafe in Smyrna, Tennessee saw them and said, I'd like to put them in my coffee shop. And I freaked out. Not only did I paint something that she thought was worthy of being represented in her shop, but it was in a public place. And I will never forget leaving a chemo infusion and that very next hour delivering these paintings to this coffee shop owner. And I thought I'd made it. I mean, those pictures, I had thought I had made it, and I did. In my heart, it was one of the best days of my life. And then 2 weeks later, I know Shannon mentioned a lady named Katie that's on the call tonight. 2 weeks later, I get an Instagram message from someone that I'd never heard before, from a company called Loud Octopus Marketing. And I thought, what is this? And she said, I saw your art, and I'd like to connect you to an artist that I know in Nashville. Her name is Olga. And Olga Alexeyeva, do you know her? And I said, yeah. I do. I had been in her store just a few weeks prior to that and had even said to some friends, like, one day I want to be in a gallery like this. And she said, I want to connect you with Olga. And when I say I fell out, I just could not, I couldn't. I woke my husband up because if I recall, it was late at night. I woke him up and I was like, you aren't going to believe this. You know, not only is his wife now an artist, but now I'm, you know, being connected with someone in Nashville who is well known for. So his mind was blown. And fast forward from there, I met Olga. She offered me a show within the same, I think, 6 weeks. I had nothing painted. And she was like, let's do a show. And I was like, this year? And she was like, yeah, in 6 weeks, let's do it. And I thought, okay. I still couldn't see very well. My hands weren't working very well, but I said, let's go, let's do it. And it was the most terrifying, rewarding, exciting, insane experience of my life. That's how I ended up meeting Shannon. And then from there, I painted over 300 pieces so far in the last 3 years. I'm in 39 different states, whereas last year, in January, I was in one, Tennessee, and I've just had an incredible amount of success. I've had art pieces auctioned off for the rare disease that I've had that have gone upwards of $20,000 to go straight towards research, and it's my art being used to fund something that's near and dear to my heart, which is patient advocacy and raising more awareness for this disease. And that is all because I said yes.
That's it.
And that's it. And had I not said yes, I think I would still be painting and just showing my friends and family. And yes, Katie, thank you. I love you. Thank you so much. Katie she was the connector. And from there, I've been able to network with people that I never dreamed that I'd be able to network with, and do so much through that process. And it's just been absolutely incredible.
Chelsey, thank you so much. That is, you know, your story, one reason why it's just so compelling is that through all the devastation and everything that you were going through, you never gave up, and your resiliency and everything that you are, and just being able to say, you know, I've been hit with this and I'm not going to let it get me down. I'm going to figure out what I want to do. And so that desire was like created inside you. And you just thought, well, now's a great opportunity. I'm in the middle of all of this. So what do I really want to do? And that's what we talk about in Becoming Boundless all the time, is really like being able to speak your voice. When you woke up and told Bob, like, I want to be a painter, and he was like, you want to what? You know, like, you said it. And that's the first step, is actually using our truth and having it come out of our mouth, right? Just being able to speak that into the universe and having it be heard, the vibration, the energy being put out there is so powerful. And that's one thing that I'm so glad that you shared, because, you know, throughout that process, you know, you did say yes to so many small opportunities. There's some women on here tonight that actually know Carpe Cafe, and that we've actually had lunch there together. We've seen Olga's pieces and your pieces there. And of course, in Olga's art gallery. And it's just really astounding that, you know, one of the things that I would really love if you wouldn't mind talking about is when that, you know, you had that gradual process. So you did start painting, and then you were like, I just kind of put it out there. And to identify as an artist was really a hard thing, because we do feel like imposters as women, even though we, as Jada would say, we put our capes on every day and we get out there and we kick ass. We still forget that, you know, we can do anything we want to, and we can do it for ourselves, and it doesn't have to be for somebody else or be in service to somebody else. We do that naturally because we're women. But to really be able to own, you know, the new thing that you're stepping into, to own the new career that you want, or to even go back to something that you loved as a child or a teenager, and to pick that back up again because you've lost it somehow. Those things are really so important. And I would love it if you would share, if you don't mind, it's very vulnerable. But you know, when you did kind of say to yourself, I'm going to put this out to my friends on Facebook first, because I really don't want to be shut down or feel like a failure. What was it like to feel that you had to put that out there to your friends versus just putting it out for the world? Because we're fearful of failure. And then also sometimes we're fearful of success. And really what that means is to be able to have all that responsibility that comes with that fun thing that we like. Would you like to talk about any of those things that I've touched on?
Sure. Absolutely. I think identifying myself as an artist required that, again, I dismantle the belief that I wasn't an artist. I thought being an artist meant I had to define. Being an artist means I had to go to school. I have to know what composition means. I have to be able to see color. I have to have all of this knowledge, when in fact, I'm an artist because I have a God-given ability to paint. And I had to really have, like, I had to coach myself through. So when I'm walking up to the doors of Olga's gallery, right? Just, you know, I can't see very well. I'm physically shaking as I'm opening the doors because I'm identifying myself as an artist. I'm an artist walking into a meeting, and I'm thinking to myself, am I an artist? Yes, I'm an artist. Like, I know this is what I'm supposed to do. I know this in my heart. It's kind of like you have to override your brain just a little bit and hold two thoughts at once. Again, like I said, you don't have to believe everything that you think. It was like I had thoughts zipping through my brain that I was observing, like, you're not an artist. And then it was like, no, I am. Like, let's shut this down, because if I walk in there and I'm not an artist, I can guarantee you that the outcome would not have been that she offered me a gallery show. If I acted anything less than that, it wouldn't have been the result. And I was an artist. In that moment, I decided, as soon as I opened that door, all right, girl, like, it's time. Let's do this. So I was an artist, and putting my work out there, whether it's art, whether it's writing, which I do, there is a level of vulnerability, but you've got to decide who you're doing it for. And if you're doing it for other people to like, of course, we want others to respond and engage and understand why we're doing the thing that we're doing, but that's not the reason I create. If I'm creating for other people, then I'm losing that joy for me, because I'm out in my brain thinking other things. What would everyone else like? I create because I have to, because there is something inside me that if I don't, I physically get, but I call it itchy. Like, there's just something inside that's just like, I'm just not doing what I need to be doing. And when I create, it may not be what everyone else likes, but for those that like it, those are my people. So my message is, for whatever you're creating, if it's art, if it's content, if you're going back and doing something, do it for you. Do it for you. Do it because you have this growl inside you that if you don't, it's just very, it just, you have to on the inside. And then keep that as your why. Why are you doing this? When it's hard, on the days that you maybe aren't well received, keep that as your why. My art hasn't always been well received. There are people who don't like it, and that's okay, because for the people that do, those are my people.
That's right.
And I'm perfectly content with that. So I think that that's one of the things that in the very beginning I really struggled with. And then came the news crews and these pharmaceutical companies that did that shot documentaries about my life. They heard this story, and things just kind of blew up from there. So you want to talk about being worried about what success looks like. You go from a girl who was fine with having friends and family know about her art, to having news crews in her homes and documentaries and film crews in her homes. And then I was worried about, how do I top this? What does success look like? How do I define what success looks like when this is not even something I could dream of a few months ago? And so I kind of had to regroup and say, what do I want out of this experience? What do I want my life to mean? What do I want this to look like? And then say no to anything that's outside of that.
That's so important, Chelsey. Like that's such a big thing, is to reflect and say, you know, that's one of the biggest things that I have. I'm a goal setter. I'm a high achiever. I'm like, I say I'm recovering high achiever. I'm trying to be a lot more grounded and a lot more connected with what my soul says and be very comfortable in that. But that's taken lots and lots of practice of doing a ton of things I hated, doing a ton of things I loved, and trying to reflect on that and seeing really, where did I feel the best? Where did I feel comfortable? Where was I myself? And then pushing it a little bit, you know, so finding that trajectory and then just edging out a little bit and seeing if I could tweak that. And I've been fortunate enough to focus a lot on that and have so many wonderful people and wonderful women in my life that have inspired me and connected with me and shared things like what you're talking about with mindset. You know, our mind is really so powerful and it can be used for good or evil, right? And when I say that, we use a lot of the evil on ourselves. We don't usually let it get out. We don't let it leak out very often, but a lot of times we beat ourselves up. And I realized I was doing that too. But it wasn't even on the surface. I was looking in the mirror and telling myself how amazing I was, but deep down there were decisions I was making for my, you know, before I even acknowledged what they were, that I was not going to make it to the next level. And it wasn't until I overcame those limiting beliefs that were stopping me from feeling successful and feeling like it was just honestly really scary and intimidating to say, well, if I do this and I succeed, then what is going to be expected of me? And will I like that? And the thing is you'll never know if you don't do it. That's the thing. Like you can always say no to an interview. You can always say, you know what? I've gotten this far. I'm good, but I'll check in with you later. If you want to check back next month, that'd be great. And you can hang on to that feeling as much as you want to and simmer in what you love. Simmer in your heart. Simmer in that, if it's creating the art and not showing it to anybody for a month and a half or 2 months while you enjoy it. Or maybe you wrote a book or a chapter and you want to hold on to that and treasure it for yourself before you share it with the world. Those are just processes that you establish and boundaries that you establish to become who you're going to be. And so it's really, really cool that you noticed that while you were going through it. So many people, it takes quite a long time, especially when you're first learning how to self-reflect and rediscover yourself as an adult, and like that it's okay for you to love things. To love things that you want, and it's not selfish. It's actually, I think Svetlana says it's self-full. And so she's a spiritual guide that I really love working with. She's very in tune with her own heart and her own spirit, just like you are, Chelsey. Would you like to talk a little bit about, this is the thing that I love to do, is to really drill down into the practical side of life. So talking about dreams and goals and you know, being selfless and all these things are fantastic. But there's also the fact that we have to get up in the morning and do all the things and still have enough energy to do what we want to do. So I would love it if you would just share maybe just one day out of your life, what it looks like in the morning to the evening. Would you just tell us, would you mind sharing that?
Yeah, sure. Well, day, for example. So there's like I think we can all agree, there's like pre-pandemic day, and now like in the middle of pandemic day and what that looks like. So I'm going to give you the real of what's going on right now. So my goal, so prior to the pandemic, all of the kids were in school. So as you can imagine, my day, I could basically tailor my day between the hours of 7:30 and 2:30 before the kids got off the bus, what I was planning to do. And everything was going quite well because I was able to be creative within those hours. But as I mentioned, I have a 3-year-old and he's home now. And I don't get to do that. There's not paint out when he's around, because even though I like abstract painting, that is not something that we're doing with him right now. So my day has had to be drastically different. It looks completely different from what it did before. And I think the reason there was such, such an uncomfortable feeling is because I didn't know how to pivot and shift and arrange all of these things and still get to the goals that I wanted to achieve. So I had to be okay with feeling disappointed. And I know that might sound a little counterintuitive, but I had to be okay with feeling disappointment. And I also had to be okay with feeling like this was a little bit of a grieving process for the life that I had been accustomed to, and for the life that was my reality. Does that make sense? And I think that we all have to be very well aware that it's okay to feel the things that we're feeling. So back to Shannon's question. I am very deliberate in my actions each day. Right now, my process for painting had to change. So if I had time throughout the day, I was painting every day pre-pandemic, and I was able to finish a lot of pieces. So because I don't see color, it's very hard for me to stop and start a painting, if that makes sense. Because if I stop in the middle, and let's just say I've mixed a color, well, going back and getting back to that is kind of complicated, but I'm committed to painting. May not be an entire painting, but it's something each day. And I'm committed to refining my process and changing my process, because my goal is still to create, and I can still live a very creative life. It's taken all of us an enormous amount of creativity to get to where we are right now. I think we can all agree that we've had to be extremely creative. So my days are filled with homeschooling. We wake up bright and early, and that you want me to give a play-by-play, like hour by hour?
I really
Okay.
do, if you don't mind, because I think that that's where a lot of things get lost. We all talk about how many things we accomplish in the day, but when you actually see how many things you can fit into a couple of minutes, it's quite outstanding.
Yeah. And if you give your brain a task to really focus on, and not some ambiguous goal, if you give your brain an actual task to work on, and your brain will get to work on doing that. So that's a great point. And you can actually do more than you think you can. I had it in my mind that I wasn't able to do anything. So I'm going to be completely raw and transparent. When the whole pandemic went down and all of my kids were at home, we've all been together now since March 9th. Yeah. We've all been together. I immediately thought I'm not gonna be able to do the things that I love to do anymore. My life is, I completely have to shift and change. And some of that is true. I'm not gonna be able to do exactly the things that I was doing, but at 6 a.m., if not earlier, and then I get to have a little me time. That's where I plan my day, what needs to happen, what's gonna be going on that day, if there's tutoring, if there is lessons happening for the kids, if I've got speaking engagements, or like today I had a chemo infusion just a few hours before I came to talk to you all. Like, what am I doing during the day? So that's my planning time. And then my girls wake up, and my oldest son wakes up, and they get started on homeschooling. And then my 3-year-old, God willing, sleeps until 9 or 9:30. So that's the goal, is that I have a solid few hours with them to get their core subjects done that they really need my help on, like, unfortunately, math. I think that's I don't think it's a limiting belief that I can't do math. I actually think
it's always math, right? It's always math.
Good grief. But we get those core subjects out of the way, and then my 3-year-old Eli wakes up, and then my attention immediately goes towards him. Because he's 3, and if you guys know anything about toddlers, and him in particular, he's the size of a giant and can reach all the things. So my eyes and my attention are really focused on him. And so art doesn't typically happen until my husband gets home. So from those hours, we have lunch in school, and we wrap up all the things, and then try to include as much fun as possible, for my sanity and their sanity. And then my husband gets home around 3, and then it's kind of like a tag, you're it kind of exchange. Today he got in a little bit earlier because I had an infusion today at 2, and then I knew that I had tonight. I was super excited to come on tonight, so I knew I had that going on. So he knew he had to get the kids and the dog out of the house. Those were his instructions this morning when he said, "What do I have going on?" And I was like, "Here's when you need to exit. Here's who you're taking with you." So he knew. And so but the bottom line is, I've still been able to fit the things that I love, even if they've been in small increments, into my schedule. And I really want to drive this point home. I tried it where I don't give myself the things that I need. I've tried pouring myself out because I felt like I couldn't do anything for myself because there wasn't enough time. That is a lie that we tell ourselves, and that's going to make us miserable very, very quickly. And if I can do, even if it's a small amount of the things that set my heart on fire each day, I'm a better wife, I'm a better mom. I'm able to give more fully when my cup is full. And so I fell into a little bit of stinking thinking is what I call it. I fell into a little bit of the stinking thinking that I wasn't able to do anything for myself anymore because I was devoting all of my time outwardly. And that's just not the case. It may not be exactly what I had imagined, but that's okay too.
Yes.
Because that's just required me to push myself a little bit further on my painting process, what I wanted to do with my life. As far as I want to continue speaking and advocating, and these things can still happen despite these external circumstances. So I know that it doesn't always feel encouraging when there's so many demands and life is changing so rapidly, but if you can just kind of hold it fluidly and make sure that you are remaining as flexible as possible, it will go much better. Coming from experience, speaking from someone who was super rigid in the very beginning and very resistant to change. That's why I always say I'm human first. I know all the coaching. I know all the things. I know all the things, but personally, I just felt very resistant to all of the changes that were occurring because it felt like so much had changed and it was going to require so much of me. And while that's true, it's also true that life can still be fulfilling and you can still do what you want to do, even if it's not exactly how you thought it would look.
I think that's so true. And I feel like the biggest thing about that as well is figuring out a focus and trying that one thing. So many women are still scrounging and like, oh my gosh, what do I want to do next? I'm going to try this thing. I'm going to do this task list of 30 things so I can feel accomplished and check off the task. And then at the end of the day, you feel super accomplished and then you binge watch on Netflix because you realize you didn't really do anything you wanted to do and you just did this task list. And so that's really what I've been trying to focus on is teaching that you don't have to do the task list. You can actually throw it in the trash and then find the one thing that you want to focus on that's going to make you feel good that day. If it's drinking a cup of tea by yourself in the back room, in the bathroom with the door closed, I mean, I don't know what you have to do, but if it's that one thing, do that one thing for yourself. Stand out in the sunshine and check the mail at the mailbox and stand at the mailbox for 20 minutes before you walk back down the driveway. Whatever that thing has to be, that's so important. And I realized like even just getting sunshine for me was super important. Like if I didn't get into the sun rays, then my day was not, it just didn't, I wasn't right. So I had to make time for that and I had to figure that out. And so I think that is super important.
Yeah, what I love that you say, what I hear you saying is let's not attach our worthiness to our production.
Yes.
Let's not attach the feeling of accomplishment with the tasks that we think we've accomplished, because at the end of the day, we could do all the things on the list, but if we've not taken care of our soul, of the thing of our hearts, it doesn't matter.
That's right.
It doesn't matter. I could go to bed with the house entirely clean, but if I've not given myself, my space is my closet. My kids can't find me there. They don't know where mommy's gone.
I get a nerve when I said the bathroom with a cup of tea, right?
Hey, that's fine. They know where to find me in the bathroom, but my closet, that's a whole, that's my space. If I need that, I have to listen to that, because if I ignore it, we all know what that feels like to ignore that need. If I ignore it, it's not good for anyone. But I go to bed and I don't feel like I've accomplished anything, even if I've done all the things. That's so right. You're so right. And right now, I think in this time, it's a beautiful time to really kind of listen, engage with ourselves on what we need. And it might not be that much. It may just be 20 minutes in your closet, in the dark, complete silence. I'm not joking, y'all. That's my spot. But it may just be that's what we need. And I totally agree with what you're saying. And I know that let's just like shift our minds pre-pandemic days. 20 minutes in the bottom of my closet would have been like, what has gone wrong? Like, What exactly has happened in your life for 20 minutes in the bottom of your closet sounds like a good idea where you feel fulfilled at the end of the day. But I think it's so important. We have such an opportunity right now to really think about the things that we need and to do those things. And so I love that you said that.
Chelsey, I love that you talk about the closet, because this is the reason I'm laughing so hard is not because I'm laughing at you, but I've done that since I was 4. Like, I literally used to climb into the closet and dream about going and traveling. My parents, we were very poor. We never traveled anywhere. I think that after I moved out of the house when I was 18, they took my brother, who is 9 years younger, to Disney World, and they came home in like 3 days. So they're not travelers at all, which is, I have no idea where Global Girl came from, except for that I have an enormous imagination. But I've been, a closet kind of girl since like 4 years old. I would take my suitcase into the closet, close the door, go to sleep, take a nap, and then wake up like I was in a different place. So I totally get it. And I've just made my house like the biggest closet ever. So that's kind of like my she shed area. And so I was telling you earlier that I only invite certain people to come over because it's a sacred space. And so, I think that that's really important too, when as a woman, you need to set your boundaries for your physical space as well as your emotional space. And so if you don't already have a place like the bottom of your closet or wherever that might be for you, try to go ahead this week and challenge yourself to target that area, some place where you can go that you can just have 20 minutes to yourself. I literally used to sit inside my car out in the driveway with no radio on, my windows up, and like completely just quiet mode before I walked into the house. And so that was my closet at the time. And it felt so good just to be able to have that time to kind of reflect and then say, okay, what is my purpose for the next 3 hours or so? And at the end of our lives, really, truly, what it is what did we do that set our heart on fire? What did we do? It's not going to be the task list of the 42 things you did on September 21st. It's going to be, how did you make people feel? How did you feel in your life with people that were connected to you? And what did you do with your life that made you feel fulfilled? And so I really challenge you, ladies. I want to go ahead and open the floor, but I challenge you to find that sacred space emotionally and physically this week. And if there are any questions you guys have for Chelsey, please go ahead and ask those now. You're welcome to unmute yourselves or to put it over in the chat. We've got about 8 minutes left if you'd like to ask her any questions. Looks like I'm going to read until somebody interrupts me. Let's see. So many people are commenting, Chelsey. I'm not sure if you could see the chat. Incredible and powerful story. Undenying faith for manifesting your dreams. Truly inspiring. This is amazing. Katie said she's proud of you. Bridget says, God bless you, Chelsey. Thank you for sharing and empowering us. So amazing. Akemia says, exactly. You guys are right on track. Does anybody have any questions for Chelsey or for me? It's an open floor, guys. It's completely comfortable.
So I don't really have a question, but I just have a comment. I have to tell you, I love the painting that's behind you.
Thank you.
I think I love it. It's my kind of art.
Thank you so much.
I think it's great. And I'm going to have to go to the little cafe up the street from me and look at your art.
Oh, yeah. Are you in Nashville? Are you in Smyrna?
I'm Smyrna.
Oh my gosh. Well, yeah, go check it out. Yeah. So this painting was done last night, and my husband, I was like, can you hang that? Now he was now. And so yeah, he said, of course, sure. So this one was completely different for me to do. It was so much fun and way outside my comfort zone. So thank you.
It looks really good. I wanted to tell you that so my husband is a spinal cord injury. He's a quadriplegic, and so hearing some of the things that you say, I can kind of relate to with him, because I mean, him getting hurt, of course, was a major adjustment, and everybody's life completely changed. But some of the things that happened is that we've met people friends that we would never had before. He's been in the Paralympics several times, so we've traveled all over the world and done things that we would have never done before. Yeah. So you have bad things that happen, but there's some good that that comes out of bad things that happen. So like with you, I mean, look at all the amazing things that you're doing. I mean, I know you would love to have your eyesight back, but you know, you have a purpose, and this is your purpose. So you have all these amazing things that you're doing, and that's your new purpose. So, and I'm just amazed that you can paint in anyway, period, because I'm like you, I can't draw a stick man, and I can't imagine just not being able to paint and then being able to paint. So I'm just in awe over that.
Thank you. It's still a little weird for me too, to kind of think about how quick that happened, but you're so right. And I think you bring up a great point. I don't think that things happen to me anymore. I think they happen for me.
Yeah.
And so I know it's hard, and I know for your family it's been tough, but I wouldn't have any of this had I not lost my eyesight. So I'm thankful, extremely thankful for it all.
Exactly. Well, he always says he thinks about the things he can do, not the things he can't do, because if he sat around and thought about the things he couldn't do, he'd be depressed. So he just looks towards and thinks about the things that he can do.
He's got it exactly right.
Yep.
Yeah. Thank you
But
so
thanks.
much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Sonia. And I also wanted to let you guys know, I'm going to be posting a link in both the Facebook pages. Of course, Chelsey's art is for sale. And we've even talked about commissioning a piece from her tonight. So I'll be keeping you guys posted on what that might look like. And also, Jada has a question or a comment as well. Jada, would you like to unmute yourself?
Hi, Chelsey. How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm well. Thank you so much for coming on and sharing your story this evening. I'm truly blown away. I feel you on so many different levels, and you definitely dropped some nuggets on us tonight that I'll be taking with me personally. And I was hoping that in all the great things that you just gave us, that I might be able to ask you a little bit more about your art.
Sure.
The colors are amazing. They're fantastic. They really resonate with me. I love Between the Lines. But what struck me was, I believe it's called the JJ Love Collection. And I wanted to understand more about your inspiration for that. As much as I love color, when I saw those, I was just kind of like, oh, it hit me in a different way. And I was hoping you might be able to share.
I made it how long without crying, and now Jada, you're gonna make me cry. No, the JJ Love Collection is inspired by my best friend, JJ. She has been in my life from the very beginning of this diagnosis journey, and has been my rock. And she inspired me because it's all about love, and all about there's lots of angels in that collection. There's just a lot of different emotions, and they're all derived from my inspiration from her. And so it really is my heart on canvas. And so I'm so thankful that it resonates with you, because those are some of my favorite pieces. I feel like they're my children when I send them out, because they're just it just feels like it is a piece of my heart. Thank you so much for saying that. It's a direct reflection of my friendship with her.
Well, they are incredible. Thank you for deciding to share that piece of your heart with all of us.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jada. Are there any other questions? I didn't see any other hands raised. I didn't see any other comments, but please unmute yourself if you'd like to ask or to comment. Now is the time, ladies. You know, we said that the only thing that you can do is say yes to opportunity. So now is your time to ask questions. You have a wonderful guest here with us tonight to ask anything that you want. We're here to support you, and there are no silly questions.
Hi, I'm so. How are you, Chelsey? I just wanna thank you for sharing your story. It's really so and powerful, and you know, I'm an artist as well, and I can understand the fact that sometimes, you know, when you do something, it's unique. It's not going to be reproductive. So and excuse my English, but and it's so difficult to get away from those pieces when I make a lot of jewelry, but I can identify with you. I had a back surgery, and it changed my life from one day to the other. And a lot of the things that you said, you know, the time of depression and all those things that actually moved most of the times in our favor. You became blind and look at all the wonderful things. Oh my God, this is really, really incredible. I have learned so much, and through my surgery also I can identify myself struggling and basically learning how to walk and all the effects. And that could go on and on and on. But you know what? There comes a time where you have to, it's so important to have all that, all that vision and make all those things come true and not just keep them in your mind. And well, thank you so much. That's actually what I wanted to say most of all.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you, Sylvette. So I actually want to leave you guys with something. You know, a lot of what goes into being an entrepreneur and to just being a woman in this world today is all about your mindset. And the thing that I've told, if I've spoken to any of you or, you know, any day of the week, I've told you how powerful it is to own what you want to do. If it's even a small thing each day, to own what that one thing is, and it will get you to the next step. So knowing that you have the ability to change your life one action at a time, saying yes to that opportunity, saying yes to having tea with somebody new, saying yes to a Zoom call, whatever those things are, don't get in the mindset that you're too busy to look at the door of opportunity. So I really want to, you know, leave you with a note that your mindset is everything. And I want, Chelsey and I were, of course, we were gabbing like two little girls before this started because we were so excited, but she had mentioned a book that she wanted to refer to you guys. Chelsey, would you like to talk a little bit about that and why you wanted to let them know about that?
Yeah, so I'm currently rereading it, and I'm listening to it on Audible actually. And it's one of the books that you can't do something else and listen to it because you're going to stop and write things down. So I just want to give you a word of warning. It is called Personality Isn't Permanent. And I love it so much. It kind of turns everything that you think you are on its head, and it makes you question, well, is that true? And can you change? And so it's called Personality Isn't Permanent. It's wonderful. Again, I'm on the second go around, and I just get new truth bombs every listen, every time I listen. So it's just been wonderful because I think that we tend to think, well, I'm an introvert, or I'm only an introvert, or I'm an extrovert, so I can't do this or I can't do that. And really, that's not the case. If there's I lean more towards the introverted side, but when the situation calls for it, and because I want it, I am an extrovert. I can become an extrovert. So you can become the thing that you want. It's possible. Your personality, who you are, you can change and shift and evolve. I highly recommend that you do. And it's a constant process. But you are exactly who you need to be today to get you to where you want to go. So I want you all to hear that you are exactly who you are today. And you're exactly where you need to be today to get you exactly where you want to go. I promise. It is true.
It's so true. They asked if we could repeat the name of the title. The connection was not strong. It's Personality Isn't Permanent. And I also put that in the chat. So you guys could check that out. And we will post that in the link when we do the recap with Chelsey in the Facebook group. If you're in the Becoming Boundless or in the Level Up Academy, you'll see that there. I'll try to post it in the Shannon Rizzo Consulting page too. It looks like I've got like Facebook pages everywhere. I'll just sprinkle that fairy dust all over the place on Facebook for you guys. Chelsey, thank you so much for your time. I don't want to keep you any longer, but we would love to have you back sometime. If you have any new releases or if you're doing any shows anywhere, I'm not sure how that works with COVID and events and timing and all of that, but whatever you do, we want to support you. We want to be a part of your life, and we hope that you'll come back and see us sometime. Can we give her? Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. Guys, find me on Instagram. I'm on Instagram. I have a website for my art, but find me on Instagram. I'm interactive there. I have a personal page and an art page. So just come find me and come say hi. And I'd love to hear from you all. And thank you so much for having me and just for all the love. And Shannon, thank you. I'd happily come back anytime.
Love to have you again. And I will share all those links with everyone. I follow you, of course, all over the place. So I'll share your Instagram links. I've already shared your website here along with that book. And so we'll do a follow-up, guys. Thank you so much for being here. And I hope you have a lovely evening. I think I have a phone call I'm late for, so I've got to jump off and help another lady become boundless. Mwah! Bye, guys.
Bye.